Then in 1946, there was a new hope for the stump that plagued the Boston Red Sox since selling Babe Ruth. Since his rookie year, Ted, the Splinter Williams, always had a hot batting average of 406. With Splinter leading the way, everything was going Boston's way until he was hit in the wrist during an exhibition game just prior to the World Series. With his bat going cold, despite Splitter's batting performance during the World Series, Boston would still put up a good fight against St. Louis, lasting until the last game when the Mad Dash struck late in the 8th inning. Both teams were tied when Eno Slater hit a single to get on base. Boston tried to hold on, getting the next two batters out, until Henry Walter batted one into the outfield, allowing Slater to score and his team winning the World Series. For the next 21 years, Boston could not find their way back to the World Series. Then, voted with the best team in Boston's history, they performed the impossible dream. Heading into the last week of the season, their American League was tied in a head-to-head battle between Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota. Chicago White Sox was the first team to fall, followed by Detroit, and Boston advanced to the World Series when they swept Minnesota. Once again, Boston had to face St. Louis for the World Series. That went down to the 7th game. Hands down, Boston had the best team that year with the 1967 Cy Young pitcher James Gentleman Jim Longboard playing for them. Unfortunately, in Game 7, Gentleman Jim's arm was a little sore from pitching an almost perfect game 2 days earlier, and it was no match for the St. Louis World Series MVP pitcher Roger Hoot Gibson, and Boston lost Game 7 at Fenway. A short 7 years later, Boston was once again determined to go to the big show with a solid pitching staff and a powerhouse batting lineup. That year, Boston defeated the mighty 3-time defending American League pennant winner Oakland A's to advance to the World Series to face Cincinnati and hopefully ending the curse. Going to Game 6, Cincinnati was one up from Boston. The battle began when rookie Fred Lynn hit a home run in the first inning. With Boston down in the 8th inning, Gary Carbo tied the game with the 3-run home run over the center field. Now, with the ball game all tied up and going to extra innings, Carlton, the Commander Fisk, waved his home run over the Green Monster to win the ball game. With the curse unfortunately, the curse struck again, and Cincinnati ended up winning the seventh game. With the curse alive and well, Boston was once again put false hopes in their fans in 1986. With the pitching wonders of Roger Clemens that won both the American League Cy Young Award and also the MVP that year, Boston was determined to return to the show by coming back from a 3-2-1 deficit to win the American League Championship on the back of Dave Henderson. Then Boston had to stand toe-to-toe against the New York Mets. Boston was up 1 game going to Game 6 until the curse struck again. Late in the 10th inning, leading 5-3, Boston was facing its first World Series since 1918. With 2 outs and nobody on base, Mets was able to score 2 runs and put winning runner out on second base. Then batter Williams Mookie Wilson stepped up to the plate. After falling behind on the count, Mookie hit a routine grounder to the first baseman that ended up going through Bill Buckner's legs to the right field that allowed the runner from second to score and win the game. High from that win, the Mets was able to go on to Game 7 and win the World Series.